70,000 years ago, a barefoot ape left Africa. No shoes, no horse, no map, no plan. 50,000 years later, their descendants reached the tip of South America. 13,000 miles, 3,500 generations. Every single step taken by a creature with no technology, no compass, and no idea that any of the places they were walking to even existed. This is not a myth. This is the story of your body. Right now, you are sitting in a chair, but your feet still have arches that act as springs. Your Achilles tendon still stores and releases elastic energy with every step. Your skin still has 2 million sweat glands, a cooling system that no other primate possesses. Your body was not designed for chairs. It was designed to walk 20 miles a day, every day, for weeks. You inherited a migration machine, and you parked it. This is the old human. How did ancient humans travel so far, across deserts, mountains, ice sheets, and open ocean, with nothing but their own 2 feet? The answer is written in your DNA, in your arches, in your sweat glands, in the fact that you are sitting here right now, because every single one of your ancestors across 3,500 generations walked far enough to find someone to have children with. Let me address something right now, because people ask this in the comments every time. No, ancient humans did not have horses. Horses were domesticated 5,500 years ago in Central Asia, thousands of years after humans had already reached every habitable continent on Earth. And no, they did not have shoes for most of the journey. The oldest shoes ever found are sagebrush bark sandals from Oregon, 10,000 years old. Human migration started 70,000 years ago. For 60,000 years, 85% of the journey, your ancestors walked barefoot. And that is the point. A barefoot ape walked across the entire planet, and your body still knows how. 13,000 miles from the Great Rift Valley in Africa to the southern tip of South America. 3,500 generations of continuous movement. No destination, no arrival. No one ever thought, we have made it. There was no it to make. Just the horizon, just the next valley, just the next season, just the next step. Here is the key insight that most videos miss. This was not one heroic journey. It was not a single group of explorers setting out to discover the world. It was millions of small moves. A band of hunter-gatherers shifts 10 miles east because the animals they followed moved that way. Their children shift 10 more miles. Their grandchildren, 10 more. Across 3,500 generations, those inches become continents. This is called generational drift. It is the real story of how humans spread across the earth, and it is far more remarkable than any single journey could ever be. They were not exploring. They were surviving. Ancient humans followed migrating animal herds. They followed ripening plants through the seasons. They followed water sources that appeared and disappeared. They moved away from areas where food had become scarce and toward areas where it was abundant. Hunger was the engine of human expansion. The greatest journey in the history of our species was driven by the most basic instinct of all: find something to eat. Your body is engineered for distance in ways that no other animal can match. Your feet have arches, not flat pads like a chimpanzee. Those arches act as springs, absorbing shock and storing energy with every single step. Your Achilles tendon is the largest and strongest tendon in your body. It recycles momentum, so your muscles do not have to carry the full load of every stride. And you have a ligament in the back of your neck, the nuchal ligament, that keeps your head stable while your body moves underneath it. No other primate has this combination. It exists for one reason: so you can walk and walk and walk. A horse can gallop at 30 miles per hour for about 20 minutes. Then it has to stop, or it will literally die from overheating. You can walk 20 miles in a single day, and then you can do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, for weeks. The horse is faster, you are longer. Speed was never the point, endurance was. And humans are the most extraordinary endurance walkers that have ever existed. You have 2 million sweat glands distributed across nearly every inch of your skin. Most mammals cannot sweat. They pant to cool down. They overheat. They stop. You keep going, pouring heat out through your skin while you move. This is why you lost your fur. This is why you stand upright. It exposes less surface area to the overhead sun and more to the cooling breeze. Your upright posture, your bare skin, your millions of sweat glands, every single one of these is an adaptation for walking long distances in the heat. Your body is a thermal regulation machine built for one purpose: never stop moving. Let us be absolutely clear about the timeline. Human migration out of Africa began roughly 70,000 years ago. By 50,000 years ago, humans had reached Australia. By at least 21,000 years ago, and probably earlier, they were in the Americas. The oldest shoes ever discovered are sagebrush bark sandals from Fort Rock Cave in Oregon, dated to roughly 10,000 years ago. That is 60,000 years after migration began. Ankle-high leather shoes like Ötzi wore did not appear until 5,300 years ago. For the overwhelming majority of human history, and the overwhelming majority of the journey across the planet, humans were barefoot. And horses, let us put this one to rest permanently. The horse was domesticated on the Eurasian steppe roughly 5,500 years ago. By that time, humans had already been living in Australia for 45,000 years, in the Americas for at least 16,000 years, and in Europe for over 40,000 years. Every single continent was already inhabited. Horses did not help humans spread across the world. Horses arrived after the journey was already complete. Your ancestors walked barefoot for thousands of miles, for thousands of years, and their feet were tougher than any shoe you will ever wear. Pause for a moment. Walking across continents is incredible enough, but ancient humans also crossed oceans. 50 miles of open water on nothing but bamboo rafts. No compass, no map, no GPS, no way of knowing whether land existed in the direction they were going. Just a raft, the horizon, and a level of courage that is almost impossible to comprehend from the safety of a chair. The Sahara was not always a desert. During wet periods roughly 100,000 years ago, it was a grassland with lakes and rivers, what scientists called the Green Sahara. Ancient humans crossed it when it was green, following the water, following the animals, never knowing they were leaving an entire continent behind. They did not cross a desert. They crossed a savanna, and then the rains stopped, and the desert formed behind them, and there was no going back. The Himalayas, the highest mountains on Earth. Ancient humans did not climb the peaks. They found the passes. Generation after generation, knowledge of the safe mountain routes was accumulated and passed down orally. Stories encoded the location of springs, the timing of snowmelt, the dangers of each valley. A mental map of the most treacherous terrain on the planet, held entirely in human memory. Siberia, 40 degrees below zero, no central heating, no synthetic insulation, no modern cold weather gear, just sewn furs layered against the wind, shared body heat in tightly huddled groups, fires that never went out, and an unbreakable will to keep moving. The same species that evolved in the heat of equatorial Africa walked into some of the deepest cold on Earth and survived. This is not a story of strength. It is a story of intelligence, cooperation, and absolute refusal to die. 50,000 years ago, sea levels were roughly 400 feet lower than today. Islands that are now underwater mountain peaks were visible above the surface. The gap between Southeast Asia and the extended Australian continent was about 50 miles, still an enormous distance of open ocean, but not impossible. Ancient humans built bamboo rafts, launched themselves into the sea, and crossed. Imagine being on that raft. 50 miles of open water, no land visible in any direction, no compass, no map, not even the certainty that land exists in the direction you are paddling, just the sky, the sea, and whatever conversation you are having with yourself about whether this was a good idea. The first person to reach Australia was not an explorer. They were the bravest human who ever lived, and we do not know their name. Archaeologists have discovered stone tools and occupied rock shelters in northern Australia dated to 65,000 years ago. These are the oldest confirmed human sites outside of Africa. Ancient humans reached Australia before they reached most of Europe, before they reached most of Asia. They crossed an ocean to get there, and then they walked across an entire continent. During the last ice age, sea levels dropped so far that Siberia and Alaska were connected by a wide grassland known as Beringia. It was not a narrow bridge. It was a region the size of a small country, covered in grasses and shrubs, populated by mammoths, bison, and the human groups that followed them. Ancient humans walked across it into a completely new world, and they did not even know they had changed continents. At White Sands National Park in New Mexico, researchers found something extraordinary. Human footprints preserved in ancient lake bed sediments. Radiocarbon dating of seeds embedded in the footprints placed them at 21,000 to 23,000 years ago, thousands of years older than the previous consensus for human arrival in the Americas. The evidence is literally in their footsteps, preserved in mud, then buried, then revealed again. The Pacific Ocean covers a third of the Earth's surface. Scattered across it are tiny islands separated by thousands of miles of open water. Polynesian voyagers found them, not with compasses or maps, but by reading the natural world. They read the stars to navigate at night. They read the direction and pattern of ocean swells to detect islands over the horizon. They watched the flight paths of birds to determine how far land was and in which direction. They read the color of clouds. Clouds over land reflect differently than clouds over open water. This is not magic. This is accumulated human knowledge, passed down for generations, and it represents the greatest navigation feat in human history. A Polynesian navigator could read the ocean the way you read a screen. The information was all there, in the waves, in the wind, in the sky, in the birds. They simply learned to see it, and then they taught their children to see it. And their children taught their children for thousands of years, until the entire Pacific, millions of square miles of apparently empty ocean, was mapped and inhabited. Your ancestors walked 13,000 miles barefoot. You walked to your car. They crossed oceans on bamboo rafts. You get anxious when your flight does not have Wi-Fi. The journey changed them. It shaped the species you are. And then, 10,000 years ago, we invented agriculture, and we sat down, and we have been sitting down ever since. This is the part nobody tells you. 10,000 years ago, a blink in evolutionary time, humans invented farming. And the species that had been moving continuously for 300,000 years stopped moving. We built permanent villages. We stored grain. We domesticated animals. We sat down, and every health problem you face, back pain, foot problems, obesity, metabolic disease, is your body asking you why you stopped walking. Your ancestor walked 20 miles a day, every day, for their entire life. Lean, strong, feet tough as leather. You walk, if you are lucky, a few thousand steps, feet encased in cushioned shoes, body soft from sitting, the same species, the same biology, completely different levels of use. The human body is a use it or lose it system, and you have been losing it. Your feet are perhaps the most dramatic example. Your ancestors' feet moved like hands, each toe gripping the ground independently, the arch flexing and springing with every step. Your feet have been encased in cushioned shoes since before you could walk. Every muscle in your foot has atrophied. The modern shoe is a cast, and your feet have been in that cast for your entire life. Barefoot runners, people who have relearned what their feet can do, report that their feet change shape. Their arches strengthen, their toes spread, their balance improves, all because they stopped immobilizing the most sophisticated piece of biological engineering they own. You cannot walk 13,000 miles, but you can remember what your body was built for. The same feet, the same legs, the same lungs, the same species that crossed continents and oceans with nothing but endurance and intelligence. The journey is not over. It is just waiting for you to take the first step, barefoot, if you dare. The ancient travel scoreboard is perfect. Endurance, 10 out of 10. Navigation, 10. Adaptability, 10. Courage, 10. Foot health, 10. Environmental knowledge, 10. Total, 60 out of 60. The human body, barefoot and hungry, was the most effective long-distance travel system the world has ever seen. The modern travel scoreboard is a trade-off. Speed, 10. Comfort, 10. Foot health, 1. And the kind of courage it takes to step onto a bamboo raft and paddle into the unknown that no longer registers. Total, 31 out of 60. We gained distance. We lost the journey. You Google best walking shoes while your ancestor, who walked 13,000 miles barefoot through deserts, mountains, and tundra, watches you from the evolutionary timeline with quiet, respectful confusion. They did not have arch support. They had arches that worked. They did not need cushioned soles. Their soles were leather. Literally. You said it is too far to walk about a 10-minute trip to the store. Your ancestor walked to a different continent. They crossed oceans. They crossed ice ages. They crossed mountain ranges. You can make it to the grocery store. The car is not necessary. You are just soft, and that is okay. But at least be honest about it. Let us begin the chalkboard. This is the first episode of The Old Human. 1 slot filled, travel, 7 to go. By the end, you will understand the ancient human body in a way that changes how you see your own. In the Museum of Lost Human Abilities, the bare foot with its arches and tendons and sweat glands labeled the migration machine. The world map with arrows of generational drift labeled 3,500 generations. The bamboo raft on open ocean labeled 50 miles of faith. The white sands footprints labeled footsteps in time. These are not historical curiosities. These are your inheritance, and you have forgotten them. There is a frame that shows an empty pair of running shoes, and behind them, the faint outline of a bare foot. Your ancestors did not need shoes. They did not need horses. They did not need maps. They needed only what you still have: 2 feet, a heartbeat, and the capacity to keep going. The equipment has not changed, only the willingness to use it. The old human teaches us 2 things about travel. 1, your body was built to walk, and it still is. Every arch, every tendon, every sweat gland is still there, waiting. The human body is the most sophisticated long-distance locomotion system on Earth. You just stopped using it. 2, the greatest journey in human history was not one hero crossing a continent. It was millions of small steps across 3,500 generations, each generation walking a little further than their parents. No one planned it. No one knew where they were going, and together, over a time span you cannot truly comprehend, they walked from Africa to everywhere. You are the end of that chain. Honor them by using the body they gave you. Next time on The Old Human, after walking all day, ancient humans sat around a fire. And they did something strange. They threw dried plants into the flames and deliberately inhaled the smoke. For 5,000 years before anyone wrote it down, humans were smoking mind-altering plants. What did they smoke? Why? And what did they know about those plants that we have completely forgotten? They walked across the world. Then they sat around a fire and got high. The story of ancient smoking, from cannabis funerals in China to tobacco shamans in the Andes, is stranger than anything you were taught in school. Next time on The Old Human. If you made it this far, you now know that your body is a migration machine. Your ancestors walked 13,000 miles without shoes, without horses, without maps. Every step you take is made possible by 3,500 generations who never stopped walking. Subscribe. This is The Old Human. They walked so you could exist. The journey continues. Next time, smoking, the plants they burned, the rituals they performed, and the knowledge we lost.